A lot of people don't realize this, but the Watkins Glen 6 Hours used to be one of the world's premier endurance events. It was part of the World Championship, and teams such as the John Wyer Racing Team, Martini International, and Scuderia Ferrari would show up each and every year to try to win it. Now, unfortunately, it fell out of the World Endurance Championship somewhere around the mid-70s, and eventually the event itself fell out of popularity and actually wasn't run for quite a few years until it was brought back by the Grand American Sports Car Series and eventually brought back to popularity by the revitalization of the IMSA Series. But today we are going to go back in time and run a very classic Watkins Glen 6-hour simulation. Now, kind of mirroring my GTD modern IMSA race, we are going to be participating in the GT category. Most notably, these cars are classified as GTA cars in Project Cars 2, and they're going to be going up against the vintage prototype A cars, which of course feature the Ferrari 512 and Porsche 917 variants. As you can see, there is a fairly interesting match between these cars. Again, the mechanical grip between GT cars and prototypes back in these days were very similar, so in the slow corners it's going to be very similar paces from these cars. I am driving the Sunoco Penske Camaro. This was a Trans Am car, but they also introduced it or raced it at some of the endurance events such as the Watkins Glen 6 Hours and the Rolex 24 at Daytona. So this will be a fun car to drive. It actually handles quite well. You'd expect a muscle car to kind of be, well, tough to muscle around a track like Watkins Glen, but it's completely the opposite. It's very well balanced and fun to drive. So we're going to be going for 30 minutes. Should be seeing a lot of the prototype cars throughout that part of the event. And since I've turned the AI down, I know a lot of people have been begging me to do so, so we've gone from 120 to 110, and I found that that's a really good balance, and actually I'm really evenly matched with the AI cars in similar cars to mine. So this should be a very exciting event as we kind of revitalize the classic 6 Hours of Watkins Glen. So here we are on the grid, ready to get it going here in the Classic 6 Hours. A lot of American muscle on the grid, as you'd kind of expect. It's kind of period correct in that sense. We've got the Mustang just in front of me, a couple other Camaros in this race, and then from the European selection of cars, we've got the 288, I think it's called, Ferrari GTB. I don't remember the exact designation of the car. A couple of those, and the kind of one of these things is not like the other car. On the pole in the class, it won't be there for very long, I suspect, is the Porsche 911. No BOP in this GT, or this style of GT racing. There wasn't really BOP at all. The only BOP was really the world's smallest violin that they would play and then tell you to make your car faster, because that's what BOP used to be. It just used to be pure racing. But anyway, we're ready to go here at the Glen, and we're underway. Trying to go to the outside of the Ferrari. Gonna be kind of careful here into turn one. Don't want to be have too much of a send. These are 1970 cars after all, but we're going to go 3 wide underneath the Mustang at least, and the Ferrari's kind of filling the gap up the S's. So, well, the Ferrari went way wide there. We're going to go side by side. We're not clear. Made a little bit of contact with one of the Camaros. Go under the other Camaro and actually go up to third in the class, and now start looking for first. I'm going for first. Let's see if we can get the Ferrari. Not really a place to go by him. Is he going to try to pass the Porsche? That would be quite the send if he did that. We go down into second gear through the chicane, which is not historically accurate. The old classic version of Watkins Glen bypassed the chicane. It just went straight into the carousel. But there's no way to possibly run that version in this game, so we won't. And what's interesting is that Porsche in the GT class lead is starting to hound that Ferrari at the back of the prototype field. Very interesting. That's kind of unexpected. I kind of teased GT versus prototype action, but I didn't actually think it would really happen, at least for now. The prototypes aren't quite pulling away the way you would think they would from the GT cars. But we'll see as the race progresses if that is the case or remains the case. As I go down to second gear, Ferrari tried to get to the inside of the Porsche through the boot, not quite working. This is not where the Camaro really excels. This is where the European cars are really going to try to shine a little bit. Ooh, that was a big slide. But once we kind of get out onto the NASCAR section, which we are right now, of course it wasn't the NASCAR section back in the day, it would have just been thought of as the high-speed part of the track. That's where I'll make up a lot of my time. As I was on the rev limiter all the way through there. Not the best corner for me there. But we're going to try to accelerate through the gears, of which there are only 4 in this car, which is kind of fun. There's not a lot of shifting that goes on with this car. It's really a lot of driving. Unlike modern cars where you shift gears like every single corner, 2 or 3 gears. Ooh, and the S's are not flat out in this car, in case you were wondering. Yeah, it's, oh, as the Ferrari gets pinched out on the grass by the Porsche. Ooh, that was a little bit cheeky. He's driving like I was in the modern IMSA race. As they go second gear through the chicane, the patriotic MURICA Camaro all over the back of me, but I carried more speed through the carousel than he did. In fact, I could put a big gap on him through the carousel. That's actually kind of surprising. Down into second gear. Head into the boot. And those prototypes are still up there, so they're not really pulling away as much as I would have thought they would. Down into second gear, bring it down. A slow portion of the track. And back up the hill. Beautiful section of Watkins Glen. You may notice that it's overcast. In pretty much every photo I've seen of a classic 6 hours of Watkins Glen with the Porsche 917s and the like, it almost always seemed to be overcast. I'm not sure why it was always overcast in July in the 1970s. Maybe smog, I don't know. Oil crisis, something, not so relevant topics anymore. But yeah, I don't really know why, but it just always seems like it was overcast when they ran the 6 hours, so that's why I've kind of tried to replicate that in today's race. Of course, the modern 6 hours, which I'm going to here in a couple days, is going to be a real scorcher. It's going to be humid and hot and everything. I'm guessing a race that's overcast at the Glen is not. Oh wait, stupid David, you've been to an overcast race at the Glen. The IndyCar race last year was actually quite cold, so I'm guessing it was kind of cool conditions for the spectators at the Glen back in these days, which I'm sure was nice and will not be all that nice for me this weekend. But regardless, we're trying to chase down this Ferrari, and I've got to try to use the power of the Camaro right now because the Ferrari is all over the back of the Porsche. He's just looking outside, inside, every side he can get around. It looks like the Ferrari, no, missed, did not get past the Porsche. I thought he passed him, and then the Porsche managed to get back into the lead in the class. So the Porsche, see, him being lighter, kind of short and squat, versus kind of long and powerful like the rest of these cars are. Woo, I got a big lock up there. That was bad. Makes it so that he goes real fast in the corners. He's crap on the straightaways, but you're fast in the corners in a race. A lot of times you can hold the faster guys off because you can just be fast enough to be annoying. And that's what that Porsche is doing right now. So I'm going to try to make up some time through here as best I can. Oh, we're going to almost go out too wide. Thought the MURICA car was going to capitalize. Of course, there's always a lot of patriotic liveries in the Watkins Glen 6 hours in the modern one. So that's a very appropriate Camaro for this race, no doubt about it. So we get right out next to the curb, but don't quite use it, which is great because it's not going to upset the car. Right down through the right-hander. Not bad onto the main straightaway, not bad at all. Into fourth gear. Down a couple of gears, try to carry some speed right out over the curb. Don't want to get too close out there because that would have been grass back in the day and not pavement. So we want to kind of respect as much of the historical stuff as we can. As the Ferrari once again is going to try on the Porsche down the inside. I don't think he's going to pull it off this time either. Well, he tried. Nope, he didn't make it. I'm going to keep it in third gear through the chicane. Maybe I think I gained a little bit. Keeping it in third gear, definitely pushing a little bit out towards the exit curbing, but just missed it. Maybe clipped it just a little bit, and definitely did not get a good apex into the boot. But did get a good drive off of it. I definitely am gaining on them. There's no doubt about it. Certainly the Ferrari, I think, is the faster car, at least than the Porsche. But if you can't get around him, that's just going to help me out as I kind of hit the rev limiter there a little bit, coming into third gear. Nice and easy, nice and easy. You can definitely predict what this car is going to do, which is very nice. Very nice indeed. It's predictable. You can kind of catch it if you kind of suspect it's going around on you. Versus like a modern GT car, whereas if it goes, if it snaps, it's pretty much gone. This, if it snaps, you've got a little bit of breathing room. I mean, you can spin this thing out. As Ben Collins has given me some motivation to try to go a little bit faster. Go up into fourth gear. Maybe we can get this somewhat flat out. And it was somewhat flat out. Ferrari's still struggling to get around the Porsche. That slowed them both up. That is slowing them both up, as the Ferrari might be able to catch and pass the Porsche before he gets into the chicane. Did he get him? Yes, the Ferrari actually makes the pass this time. That means it's David's time to shine here, because that Porsche is now going to hold that whole GT field up, as the Ferrari will, I think, begin to get away. Unless the Porsche decides to pass him in the boot. That may be also a possibility. As he pulled out, I thought he was going to get around him or try to make an attempt at a pass. It didn't quite work. Just easy on the throttle. This car doesn't like burn out when you overstep the boundaries, but it definitely will step out on you and try to drift. And you don't want to drift. That's not very fast. A little bit of sliding is not terribly counterintuitive in this car, but full-on four-wheel drifts are not. And that was a slide, not a drift, that you just saw. A little bit of push through the left-hander. I'm really trying to carry as much speed as possible, because that's what the Porsche is doing, and that's where I'm losing time to it. Down here, these high-speed sections, you can just see visually the Porsche gets closer, but so is that Camaro in the rear-view mirror. So I was really struggling to get the power down through the S's, and now going to come up behind the Porsche, and this is kind of the problem the Ferrari ran into. I'm going to catch him right at the end of the straightaway. And really not have an answer for him through this very fast chicane, where a Porsche would be very fast. And I entered way too shallow there, and look how much time the Porsche has gained on the Ferrari. The Ferrari's not really getting away either. In fact, the whole GT class is kind of coming back together, as the Camaro, the patriotic one, is relatively close to me. The Porsche is relatively close to the Ferrari, and I'm relatively close to the Porsche. So that's how this runs. Now, how the prototypes are going to factor into this when they come up through us, that is going to be a big question mark, to say the least. Try to carry some speed. Definitely had to catch it there. But again, it was kind of a controlled situation where I felt it wasn't out of control. It just was bit me a little bit. Took a nip at me. Like Steve Irwin, you know, you're in control of the animal until you're not. That's kind of the key there. As the Porsche runs real wide out of the final corner, can I get a run on him? I might be a little bit closer than I was the last lap. which might benefit me here. You just see the speed the Porsche is able to carry through the corner there, through the first corner. Just burping the throttle a little bit, trying to keep the car on the straight and narrow. Oh yeah, got him this time. No, I don't. Oh, gave him a little bump draft. All right, hi Porsche. Please play nice with me.
Great job out there, great move.
And there he goes. Yep, that's the same thing he was doing to the Ferrari, driving around the outside of the chicane. Oh, we're gonna jam it up the inside. See if this sticks. Woo! Hey, he's number 9 too. This is not fair. You're appropriating my number. Whoa! Out on the grass goes the Porker, and here comes the MURICA Camaro. Oh, make a little bit of contact with the United States of America. Here he comes. He's right on my quarter panel. Got away from him somehow. Okay, let's try another lunge at the Porsche if I can get one. Oh, he was wide through there. Nope, he's gonna get a good exit though because of that short wheelbase nature of that car. Again, just ooh, almost overcorrected there. I've got to realize that I'm not going to make up any time in necessarily this part of the track. That's where the Porsche is going to be fast. Bad. That's going to allow the Camaro to get around, and that's going to cause me all sorts of pain and suffering. Or maybe not. He's there, side by side. Oh, a little bit of contact. He had to back out of it. I'm surprised he did. I guess discretion better part of valor for that Camaro. But that allows me to get another run on the Porsche, but not nearly as close as I was the last lap. But without being held up this time, is this going to be the pass? I think it might be. Woo, that was close. Porsche's trying to come back on me, trying to come back. Oh, he went through the grass and wisely backed out of it, so he did not get a penalty for that. And we go up a place past the Porsche. I definitely abused my tires over the last couple laps. You could tell it wasn't quite as bitey through that through the carousel or through here. And the Ferrari's kind of gotten away a little bit, so it's time to try to chase the Ferrari down. I think overall, pretty much across the track, I'm faster than the Ferrari. There's not really a place like the Porsche where it feels like the Porsche is way faster than I am. I definitely feel like I've got the legs on the Ferrari, so we're going to try to chase him down. Let's go down a gear. Try to keep the car on the straight and narrow. Trying to. Oh, a little bit of contact with a wall. Just too much out of it right there. Using every inch of the road, and I used 1 inch too much right there. The corner right over the curb, just one wheel over the curb, not too bad. The Porsche's still hanging on to the back of me. But this is where we'll say sayonara Porsche. Or Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen? Porsche? I don't know. Something like that. I'm sure. Auf Wiedersehen. That's how you say it. I don't think he's going to... Oh, I don't think we're going to have to worry about him on the straightaway. But thanks for your input. I appreciate it. As you can see, the American V8 power is just too much. Too much for the Porker. Ooh, is really taking some big liberties with the curbs. We've got to do it to be able to catch up with that Ferrari. Definitely using a lot of this Camaro and its capabilities. through the Porsche. He's closing in. Look how much time he gains in this section. It's unbelievable. You see those green arrows of death, you know it's coming close to you. Ooh, that was a big slide. Took a little too much out of it there for sure. Through here once again. Trying to not get too close to the tire wall this time, which I don't. But I don't think I particularly gained all that much time. Nice tight apex there. Onto the main straightaway once again, and the Camaro, the patriotic one, is really beginning to put some pressure on the Porsche. We had to do a double D clutch there because the car was downshifted a little early. Locked the brakes up, and that was no bueno. Had to do a little bit of a lift there. Now the Ferraris really pulled out to a big gap. He's really been effective in these last couple of laps. I'm going to keep it in third gear this time. I felt like that was the, last time I kept it in third gear when I was behind the Ferrari, I really made up a lot of time. Definitely getting some understeer through there, through the carousel. And heading into the boot, where the Porsche is really gaining on me, but I'm starting to see the Ferrari again. So I'm gaining on the Ferrari while the Porsche is gaining on me. Just GT action at its best, really. Let's get right out next to the grass out there. No exit curb on that corner. Woo! Another lockup. Definitely asking a lot of this car right now. This Porsche's going to come up behind me. Get a slide on going out of there. Right out next to the exit curb again. I'm going to use second gear this time. Try to get a little bit better acceleration. That may have been a better way to do that. I feel like as the tires wear off, I'm going to have to do that more and more. That was a little early on the brakes, I suspect. Again, using a lot of exit curb. Got to be careful. The game's going to penalize me if I go out there too far. There you go, 20 minutes down already in this 30-minute race. Still have yet to see the prototypes. Don't know if we actually will see them. 30 minutes might not be enough for them to come up through the field. Who knows? Ay, 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 ay. There's no penalty. There's no penalty. Alright, Eduardo Freitas is not running this race. Otherwise, that would have been a penalty. Track limits, track limits. Uh-oh. Yeah, the car, I've definitely taken out too much of the car. Taken too much out of the car, I should say. I used up all my tires going past the Porsche. And now I'm really struggling for grip. You just see all the GT cars behind me. Don't run off the road when you're looking behind you, David. That would be a bad idea. Down a gear, down into second. Just a little bit of counter steering. Right next to the curbing. Woohoo! That was a nice slide. Nice, well-controlled slide there. Over the curbing. Down a gear. On the throttle. But still, I'm just not pulling away from the Porsche. And in result of that, I know I'm not gaining on the Ferrari, though that time, through turn one was much better. That was better. Just lifted up just a slight bit through the S's that time. Alright, third gear. You know third gear is faster here.
That's your best first sector so far. Nice one.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I need to do. The Stig is telling me to do it, so I'm going to try to do it as best I can. Keep on the throttle way out over the curve, almost in the grass there. Might have been slightly in the grass, you never know. Yeah, I think I'm chasing him down. Ever so slightly. It looked like he was further or closer down the road than he was the last time as I get really nice run off of the corner. Down this little short straightaway right here.
7 minutes to go.
A little bit of a lockup. Not too bad. A little bit of a slide. Again, not too bad. Keep the car in second gear. Don't slide it up too much. Not too much. That was fine. Up a gear. Oh, this is an awful lot of fun. Down a gear. This is a lot of fun. To hustle this car around this track in this condition trying to win a race. Pretty freaking awesome. Go right out over the curb. Up a gear. Alright. Definitely get turn one better. Didn't quite get through the S's quite as well. Just trying to do it flat out. Couldn't quite get it. Couldn't quite get it. Okay, third gear again. You can hear the tires just squealing in agony. But they're not quite, you know, it's not the agony where you know you're losing time. It's the agony where you know you're on the absolute maximum limit of grip. And yeah, I'm catching the Ferrari. I don't know if I've got enough pace to catch him all the way. And of course there's the old racing adage that catching him is one thing, passing him is another. But I'll be darned if we don't try. And it looks like the Camaro's gotten around the Porsche for third in class. So that's going to be another issue. There's a faster car coming up behind me. We've got 5 minutes remaining in the race. Still no sign of prototypes. Maybe if I wanted to do a multi-class race, I should have put it on the short version of Watkins Glen so we actually see them. Oh well, not my problem if the prototypes aren't fast enough to catch me. Woo! I suppose that's a good problem to have. Don't give me a penalty. Thank you. Down on third gear there. Kind of running on the limiter. Right out on the curb. Yeah, baby. Woohoo! This is so much fun. This is so much fun. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. So bad. Alright.
4 minutes to go.
4 to go. Down a gear. Dancing over the pedals. On the throttle. Out. Definitely got the rear end sliding again. Oh, put so much wheel into it too. You can just see. Oh, really went too hard into there. Come on, baby. I still see that freaking Ferrari. He's so close. So close, but yet so far. Again, cranking the wheel into it. Getting this thing to steer. Still no prototypo traffico to deal with yet. Maybe it's because the room is hot or that this is physical activity, but I'm getting a big sweat built up right here. This is some serious fun. Elbows out, I guess you could say, racing. Keeping it right next to the curb there. Out of gear, don't go too far out there, David. Okay, well, that wasn't nearly as far out as I would have liked, actually. Down a gear. Just nice and easy into the corner. Slide it out right over the curb. Still looking behind me, just make sure that nobody's coming too hard. And there we go. That was probably the best I've gotten through the S's so far, even though I used the exit curve a little too much there. Down the back straightaway.
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes remaining. Oh. Bad, David. Bad, David. That was bad corner cutting. I don't think I'm going to be reprimanded for it because I did kind of back out of it. So that was nice. As I really cranked the wheel into it again, and there's that Ferrari. He's still just down the road, just down the road. Got it. I'm starting to wish I'd made this a longer race because I would have been able to get him probably within the next 10 minutes. And we probably would have seen prototypes because they are just nowhere to be found. But this has been some great fun. Regardless.
1 minute to go.
So there's going to be at least one lap to go, depending on where the prototypes catch the white flag and the checkers. With 1 minute to go from here, if the prototypes are anywhere close, there'll be 2 more laps for us. Unless they come up and lap me, which doesn't look likely. I don't see them on the horizon. Ooh, threw it a little too hard into turn 1 that time. Braked a little bit later than I would have liked to. And that screwed me up on the exit. Oh, almost flat out. You just can't quite take that flat out. It's so close to being flat out, but it's not flat out. Alright, let's actually use third gear properly through here. There we go. Much better. Hopefully we do have 2 laps to go, because if I have 2 laps to go, I can give it a shot. Try to chase down this here Ferrari. It feels like he's further up the road than he was the last time, though. I think my turn 1 pace wasn't that great. Again, just got so much wheel cranked into it through there. I think I may have missed my opportunity to get the Ferrari. When he was held up by that Porsche, I really should have been much closer. If I'd been much closer, maybe been able to use that pick of the Porsche to get around the Ferrari, that would have been my chance. But unfortunately, when I got held up by the Porsche and sliding like that, it's not going to be too conducive to going fast. Yeah, that was game over at that point. So we'll have to take second, but it'll be a legit second. We'll see if this is the last lap. We obviously haven't been lapped, and the prototypes are absolutely nowhere near. So yeah, 1 more lap to go. Down 2 gears, throw it into turn 1. Well, there's still the fastest GT lap of the race that I can go after, and I'm going to try to do that. And my turn 1 pace wasn't that spectacular. Alright, oh, close to the curb, into the wall. Kept my foot in it, though, as best I could. I think I lifted just a tiny little bit. We'll see how it all goes. To get into the chicane right here. Apex nice and late. A little too late on that apex for the second chicane, or second part of the bus stop. On the throttle through the carousel. Down into second gear, slide it out, a little too much. Out of the groove, and there's still that Ferrari just agonizingly close to me. I've really put the third place Camaro behind me, though. I've definitely walked away from him. Well, kind of. He's coming through the corner that I was just in, so never mind. I thought I'd really walked away from him. Down into second gear, bring it down right next to the curbing. And elbows out through there. On the brakes, not particularly keeping the apex on that one. And a little bit of dust kicked up there. No harm, no foul. So nice and easy through the left and the right-hander. Don't lag on me now, game. The game lagged right at the end. Come on, baby. Across the line. And we will take second in GT at Watkins Glen. Not too bad. That was a fun race. So yeah, the prototypes never ended up lapping us. Interesting to see. We were 7 seconds up on the prototype, so it would have probably been a few more laps before they actually managed to lap us. The LH Porsche actually got to second. I was actually surprised that car showed up here. It's not really suited to this circuit, but it was Porsche 1, 2, 3. Then it was Ferraris down through the rest of the field. There you can see the GT. What? Wait, I won? I won GT? The game says I won GT. I'm not exactly sure how that happened or how I got 4 seconds up on the Ferrari. I never saw anything that would suggest that. But there you go. There were 2 GT cars that did get lapped, which is interesting. The Ford and one of the Camaros, but for the most part, yeah, it should have been a 40-minute race to get prototypes coming through. Well, now we know. So that was vintage racing at the 6 hours at Watkins Glen. I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly had a ball racing in these classic GT cars, particularly this Camaro. Fantastic car to drive. I would certainly suggest giving it a shot if you've got the time and the effort to do it. And certainly if you've got an H-pattern shifter and a clutch, definitely do it because it's a whole lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you do enjoy classic sports car content, just in general, motorsport content, Project Cars 2 content, all that good stuff, be sure to subscribe. You're in the right place. And leave a like on this video. There's going to be some more great Project Cars 2 content coming up, including a simulation of my first auto race that I'm actually going to be doing in real life, the Battle at the Brickyard, which is a kart race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that track is in this game, as well as go-karts, so guess what I'm going to be doing? Look for that in the coming days. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.